What's up, guys? Making a game review today. The game we're reviewing is EA Sports UFC. Got it the day it launched. Been putting my time into it like everybody else. I gotta say, man, EA Sports, you did a great job for your first UFC game. I mean, sure there are a few things that need to be fixed, but I mean, overall, I think you guys you delivered, and I thank you guys for your first UFC game. I think you went in the right direction. You laid down the ground for the foundation, and hopefully in a couple of months we'll get some updates. By the way, later in this blog, I'm going to be talking about some fixes, which might seem like I'm bashing the game. I just want people to know I'm not. It's just my idea of some fixes that they need. But first, let's go to career mode, where I started off at. Career mode this season, a little bit different. You start out in tough, yes. About time. We've been waiting for a tough career mode. Pretty much you start out in tough, you get selected. You pretty much, you train. You fight all the fights into the finale. If you make it to the finale, you win with an Ultimate Fighter. You may get stopped before you get to the finale, or you may get stopped at the finale, depending on what difficulty you play at. I played at normal. I was able to win. I'm actually undefeated right now. But again, I'm almost like 30-0 right now. I heard as you play on pro difficulty, it's sometimes you don't even win tough at all. You don't even win the first fight, but you still get in the UFC and still fight. So it was different. It was cool to be in there. Pretty much you start in tough, and then you go to the undercard. Pretty much from there, if you want to work your way up to the main card, and then you go to the main event, which is where you get a title shot. But pretty much the way you level up, you move up in the rankings, or you want to say you move up from the undercard to the main card and get your title shot eventually, is to please the fans. For instance, if you get a very nice KO submission at the end of the fight, it'll say how many new fans you gained. If you have a very boring fight, you gain fans, but you won't gain as much. Another thing about gaining fans is not only do you gain fans and does it move your ranks up, make your popularity go up, but also helps you unlock sponsors. Sponsors, so if you want a t-shirt or a pair of shorts, that comes into play. Also, you get to unlock perks for a game plan. You get to have 3 game plans, and then you get to have 5 perks per game plan. But when you start out, you unlock 1 game plan, then you unlock 1 perk, 2 perk. You unlock 1 perk at a time to have the 5 eventually in there. Pretty much the different perks, for instance, is increased damage in your hands, increased kicks, knees. Then there's one for the ground game, where it increases your submission, battling, and defense. Also, ground striking, and then you go all the way over to the other one. You got increased stamina, all kinds of different things like that. And when you first start using it, it definitely comes into play. But eventually, when you get towards the middle or the end of career mode, and your player's kind of already maxed out almost, you really don't see much of a difference using them, because your fighter starts getting so good. Pretty much career mode's pretty simple. You work away from tough, you work your way to a title shot, and then try to stay undefeated and get into the Hall of Fame. I'm gonna talk right now about some career mode things I feel like they left out. And I mean, I understand this is EA Sports' first UFC game, and I mean, they're probably not going to do updates for the career mode that much, but I'm hoping in their sequel we'll have things such as rivalries, like Nick Diaz versus Joe St. Pierre when they had those things. I mean, I would like to see a Twitter battle or something, or where you actually are going to fight an opponent and actually means something. You guys have a little interview where you talk trash about each other. I think that would be unique. It would be cool. Interviews after your fight, kind of like what Undisputed 2010, I think, did, You had your interviews with Joe Rogan. You were able to call somebody out if you wanted to, or you talked on your mind, what was on your mind, what they gave you. Weigh-ins, another thing I think we kind of need, would be interesting to have. Another thing I liked about the Undisputed 3 was in-game commentary with Joe Rogan and Mike Goldberg is that as your career moved on, they talked about previous fights, and they talked about one of his last fight had great stand-up, and I feel like this is kind of short in this game. And again, EA Sports first UFC game is room for improvement. I understand. Hopefully they'll have that. Like for instance, you become a champion. They talk about how many fights, or how devastating you are on the feet or on the ground. Give them more information on your character as it goes on. Commentary would be interesting to hear. In this game, I wasn't able to choose what gym I wanted to choose to go to and fight at, kind of like how Undisputed 3 had. That's another thing I feel like they could definitely do. It would be cool to go to some of the top gyms and train there. It's a few things I think that need to be coming out in the game 2 years from now when they release a new game. I mean, who knows? I mean, they could maybe patch some of this into the game, but it's no big deal, Moving on to the online, pretty cool. I didn't like online's previous UFC on Undisputed 3. It didn't feel even. It felt like pretty much as soon as somebody takes you down, you're fucked. They're on top of you, you can't get up. And this game, it feels pretty even. It's pretty easy to defend takedowns and stand up. And pretty much it's just, whoever you pick as a fighter, if you pick a lower guy, you do maybe okay, but if you go against an opponent who picked the top guy like John Jones and you picked Ryan Blader or something, man, you pretty much gonna get beat up pretty much. You do tournaments. For instance, it's kind of like the Undisputed 3 belt level where you go up from white belt, blue belt, purple to black. As you level up, it moves on. However, in Undisputed 3, if you lost, your belt would also be taken back and back and back. They don't do that this time, so congratulations. That's pretty good knowing that doesn't happen. Feels good knowing that, hey, if I do end up losing, which I don't want to, at least my stats won't go down. It'll move on a little bit, but not as much as it should, so that's a good thing. Then you play a Starter Cup, Amateur Cup, and then Championship Cup. And it's different belts. For instance, I believe Starter Cup is white and blue, and then Amateur Cup is purple and brown, and I think Championship is all black belt. So you rank up your belts once you get once you get up to those belts, then you can go on and into those tournaments and win and see if you're better than everybody else. And it's cool fighting some of these guys because some of these people actually play this game with real intelligence. They have a game plan. For instance, if they have a fighter that's known for wrestling and great ground and pound, they will use that game plan, or if they have great stand-up, to try to avoid going to the ground. However, some things that need to be fixed online. There's a lot of things. Not a lot, but there's a few things. For instance, when people rage quit on you, you pretty much go and it says quitting, and then like my game didn't freeze, but it said the person was quitting and they already quit because they didn't want to fucking lose. And guess what? I ended up having to turn off my Xbox, and then my online kind of shut down, and it really bugged me out, and I don't like people like that. And then they, because I beat the guy, I pretty much knocked him out, who had been unplugged, and guess what? He didn't lose, and I didn't win. I feel like what Undisputed 3 did was they should go ahead and you get the win, and they get the loss. Hopefully, I know they're working on things now, so hopefully that'll be fixed. Another thing I think needs to be fixed online is when you pick your characters, it'd be nice to see who your opponent chooses. Not in the sense that, okay, well, I'm going to pick a better person then, but in the sense that, or you can keep it the same right now, but just have it where if your opponent picks somebody and that person's cut off the roster and you can't pick them. Because, for instance, when you play as Anderson Silva versus Anderson Silva, or John Jones versus John Jones, or Ronda Rousey versus Ronda Rousey, it's a little bit off, and it's kind of annoying. Because, you want to play as different fighters against different fighters. Other than that, career mode was great. It feels fun. There's a little bit of lagging sometimes. Other than that, I mean, if you're facing an opponent who's brand new, you're going to kind of win. But if you're facing an opponent who's experienced and they know how to play the game, it's a lot more funner because then you're like, well, I'm going to go and stand up with him. And he starts, parrying you and get ready to knock you out. And you got to try to take him down. And it's it's fun because it makes you think and it gets you focused, and you got to think of different ways to win. So um, other than that, I'm gonna give the game a solid 8 out of 10. I think EA Sports did a great job as the first UFC game. They definitely laid in the groundwork for it. Now it's in time for improvements. I know they're probably working on stuff, and we don't know what kind of fixes they're gonna have coming out. But I got a couple fixes on my agenda here, as I like to say, that I think they need to put in the game, whether it's updates coming soon or later, or if they would like to listen to this now and upgrade it in the game when it comes out 2 years from now when they do a new one. For instance, glove touch and taunts. Something missing. I think it'd be cool. You go out in the moment right before the fight, touch gloves. For instance, you have a 5-round war with a guy, at the end, you want to touch gloves right before you're about to fight. Let them know, hey, man, let's do this. Taunts some people. I mean, I know when you knock the person down, you say that the fighter kind of taunts itself. I mean, actual taunts, do some Stockland stuff up and that shit. Nick Diaz style, you know what I mean? Something cool. An issue that was kind of a big one, leg kick TKOs. You can go ahead and batter the shit out of some of these things in this game, but you don't TKO them from them. I mean, you can TKO from body shots, but not leg kicks, and that's a little bit off to me. It's like, come on, man. That should be in there, but you know what? I mean, I understand they could only put so much into the game, so hopefully they'll update that soon. But I'm sure, a couple years from now when they release the next game, I'm sure we'll definitely have it in there. Hopefully. Another big thing I think they need to do right now, though, is a fighter roster DLC. And I'm not talking about will we pay for the fighters. I mean, sure, if they're brand new fighters who just signed with the UFC, that's one thing. But I think there should be DLC packs that are coming out soon that are absolutely free, that we don't have to pay for. For instance, just fighters that are missing, like TJ Dillashaw. He just won the championship. Tyrone Woodley. He's been in there for a while. Josh Brunette, and Hector Lombard. There's a few guys who I just mentioned who are some big hits with fans that aren't in the game for some reasons. And I feel like if they're going to do DLC with them, they should be free. And I mean, other guys who've been in the UFC for a couple years who aren't in the game but are going to be DLC should be free. I can understand if you do a Legends pack where you have like Ken Shamrock or Dan Steven or some other Hall of Famers, and you want to put them in the game and you got to pay for it. Okay, I understand that, but some of these fighters should be free DLC, and I hope they go that way. There's been talks about DLC, but still waiting for more information. Other than that, guys, like I said, 8 out of 10. I wasn't bashing the game just then. It's just my thoughts and ideas, stuff they need to work on. One more thing. Animations need to be a little bit tweaked up. For instance, if you knock somebody out and they go out cold, that's cool. However, if you TKO somebody on the ground, it looks like they completely go out cold also. I would like them to put maybe an animation for TKOs where fighters, blocking and defending, but also getting hit, and then makes them look more realistic instead of getting completely knocked out. Also, depending on certain knockouts, I don't think a fighter should be standing right up and be sitting there. Kind of like how the Undisputed series did, where if you knocked them out pretty good, they're still laying on the ground completely unconscious. Again, a few things. No big things, but I'm sure we're going to get some good updates soon. And hopefully, 2 years from now, when the sequel comes out, all this stuff will be actually in the game and won't have to be patched up. But till then, we'll see, right? Thank you guys for watching this. 8 out of 10. If you like the game and if you like UFC, go out and buy it. Play it, man. I swear, once you get used to the controls and you don't have to think about what to do, man, it starts flowing and you're playing and it'll be great. I promise you. Like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you think about the game. I'm going to put my gamer tag at the bottom on here. Add me. They can get on in the fights, man, online. Let's, throw down some, you know what I mean? Thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed this, and